Welcome, everybody, to our energy forecast, not just for 2023 here on this last day of 23 for most of us, but also the bigger context, the larger picture here till 2027. This is very important for this energy analysis. My name is Jona Bryndis. I'm an energy coach, energy healer, and therapist, and I do these reflections on collective energies. Yeah, there is an energy alignment that I put out for free every month that can help to work with these incoming energies on a level that can bypass our mind, yeah, that can work for us without us actually having to think too hard. These are 20-minute alignments like meditations, like guided meditations, and you can find all of the alignments that I put out for free on SoundCloud. I want to start this forecast differently. You see all these predictions, from astrologers and so forth. This is not what this is. What we are doing here is a preview, utilizing this energetic awareness that we all have in a way that allows us to understand the larger context. And I want to start with this quote here from Dr. Hawkins. Many of you know Dr. Hawkins. He's the scientist that has brought the map of consciousness to us, measurable levels of consciousness. Check out his work. It's really valuable for understanding ourselves and our reactions, and what consciousness is. It's a really good tool for, I want to say, discerning things. We're going to get to this here in a little bit, because when we want to make choices, especially those kind of choices that help us to get into a higher expression of who we are, it's really important for us that we can discern what it actually is that we are looking at. And this quote from Hawkins, which says, "Truth is verifiable only by identity with it, and not by knowing about it." So this is a good preface for you here, because I'm not trying to tell you what's going to happen. So this is your ego that wants to know the future so it can better manage the fear of the unknown. I want to help you understand the future, understand the present, understand the past. As they are all connected, we only really need to understand where we're at. And what helps us in our personal journey is to know where we're from. Many of you are familiar with the concepts of karma. They help us understand why we have to go through certain things. And they also help us to appreciate some of these lessons, mostly the repetitive lessons and patterns in our lives, and what it actually is that we need to overcome, or that we need to balance out. And if you have been following me here for all these years that I'm doing these live streams and videos, workshops, seminars, and so forth, then you know that it's not really about knowing better. It's about understanding better. It's about really feeling what it is that you're perceiving so that you can verify it. So in order to verify who we are, where we're from, where we're going, what we are perceiving as we are on our journey, we need to have tools to verify this. And here within this self-healing community, we are using consciousness training, the training of our thinking, the training of our emoting, and the training of our choice making in context. with our personal individual journey. But there is a larger context, and that has to do with the collective journey. And that is the one that we want to look into today. And here you see new identity sort of as this main theme for us in our personal journey. Because once we understand the past, the present, and the future, we often also recognize that who we thought we were or who we thought we had to be isn't really who we are. Yeah? And so in order to verify what it is that we're perceiving, be it about how we see ourselves, how we see the world, how we see others, how we see our relationships, how we see our accomplishments, how we see all of that, we are getting in and putting out. We now need to form a newer, an upgraded or updated version of who we truly are. And so that's encapsulated here in this word, new identity. But the cool thing about this is that this isn't just happening for us as individuals right now. Over the years, I've written many articles about collective shadow clearing, the karmic collective tasks, and I often refer to it as the duality within, the battle within, and the two darknesses that we have to face as, this untrained human with an ego that functions as our fail-safe. And if we don't know that there is another way of looking at ourselves, if we never investigate, for example, the parts in us that are not seen, that have an effect on our thinking, on our emoting, and our choosing, that are unaware to us, the unconscious, if we don't know what is unconscious, if we don't see what we can't see, it's very difficult to form a stable and authentic identity. And this is something that many of us have been struggling with for the last decades. But guess what? This is now happening for the entire collective. So these years of transformation, as you hear everybody talk about this, they are really, really big. This has never happened before in this global human collective here. This has happened for individual civilizations in the past, but it has never happened in this, like total planetary manner that we are experiencing this right now. And we got a little preview here, and this is where this context comes in. This is what I want you to see. I want you to recognize that these energies that are coming in now, these tasks that you are faced with, all these things, they need to be seen in the larger context. All this started way prior to, today or, 2022. It started really in what I would say 150 years ago, where with the onset and the manifestation of the Industrial Revolution, where we were pulled into a higher level of polarization. And over the course of the last 150 years, this has taken on different variations, and we're now actually at the height of sort of the second industrial revolution, the Industrial Revolution 2.0, with artificial intelligence and utilizing machines for what was previously thought to be a domain of us humans, such as creative work, such as work that requires us to make our own decisions. So there is a very, very strong increase in polarization over the last 150 years. And with 2020, a significant year by the way, it's very cool to go back to my predictions in 2020, because there I illuminated the years from 2020 till 23. And I called these years the years of reality wars. Reality wars, yeah. I added to this phrases such as there is a war on your concentration going on. And obviously I lectured a lot about these different forces and so forth that are playing into this. Not the conspiracies, but just how someone like me who sees things in their energetic truth regards them. Yeah, what is the push and the pull? What creates these schisms in us? And this is always quite surprising, because it's much more neutral. It's much more down to earth. Yeah, and while I still offer a lot of spiritual modalities and go deep into the spiritual sciences and helping people in their self-healing journey and so forth, I also see some very simple mechanics. Yeah, so as an ex-scientist, I must say that the more I studied science, the more I saw spiritual intelligence manifesting in what we are experiencing here as individuals and as collective. So what I want you to know is that 2020 was indeed a very significant shift change, as I called it back then. And if you have been following me, you know this, I called 2021 the inoculation. And I talked about how words, names, concepts are being hijacked and twisted to a degree where all the things that we thought were good, like environmentalism, feminism, the liberation from racism, gender equality, and so forth, even political and economic liberation, even currency liberation, were twisted to a point that we could no longer see what is true and what isn't. And this is quite significant for those of you who have a little deeper understanding of things, because if the way we label things, if the way we name things, the way we call things, if that gets confused in us, it can create something that psychology calls free-floating anxiety. And free-floating anxiety is one of these, obviously, we've experienced this then, in 2020 through the pandemic and the restrictions that came, that can take over our higher thinking, that can bring out the lower expressions in us. And basically the pinnacle of polarization is what we have been experiencing here in these last 2.5 years. And with the forecast into 2020, I warned everybody to really work with words, with these isms, and make sure that you have your very own definition of what this means to you, and don't allow social media or fact checkers or whatever twist this to a degree where you no longer know what is true, what is real. And so then in the forecast for 21, I said we're in the middle of these reality wars, not right now, and we are subject to mind control. Again, this is not a conspiracy. We are subject to a force that drives us into this confusion, and offers, this is when you know that there is mind control, offers only one path, only one solution to all problems. And I know many of you were able to look through this, to see through this, but there was quite a bit of scrutiny that we had to endure with this, because the mainstream, if you will, still is under the effect of this. And this is reaching now into 2023, where these reality wars need to come to a conclusion. So 22 was all about wrapping up those loose ends and starting to bring about healing. Yeah, it started to become aware to us that all these mandates, for example, not being able to be with our loved ones and so forth, that's not good for us. It's not worth it to stop living in order to prevent ourselves from getting a disease. So there is this revolutionary energy that is now building in us, yeah. And here in 2023, this is coming to a new form. So new identity now is something that was maybe difficult to see in the last 3 years, but that has formed in us through the confrontation with untruths, through the confrontation of lack of love, and through the confrontation of lack of freedom. We are now understanding ourselves better. We're still obviously a bit confused, and there's still a lot of uncertainty, and there's still a lot to come here that needs to unfold for us to become more one and united in all of this. But the main point here is that when we go through a crisis, that this crisis, yeah, as we're going through it, obviously comes with a lot of discomfort, but that this crisis triggers something in us. And in psychology, it's called a catharsis. So it triggers some kind of release in us, yeah, maybe also something like a breakdown sometimes, yeah, and forces us to regroup, to recover, to review, to reconsider all the things that we've believed in, that matter to us, that we are going for, that we have as goals. Yeah, and this is basically here the facilitation of this in 2023. So with January, we're going to see an end of these. Well, obviously, when I hold this end, it's still a process that has to go through all the different layers of the collective, but we're going to feel this inside, yeah, as energetically sensitives. You'll feel this. It's the end of this mind control being able to grip. It's the end of this free-floating anxiety turning into this a really polarized, really narrow point of view. It's all opening up. But what we are going to experience instead here in 2023 is what I call media wars. So as we are starting to have our own thoughts, yeah, as we're starting to claim our own truth, a lot of corporations, a lot of these conglomerates that participated in these reality wars are now fighting for their survival. So there's a lot that is going to happen in this year in that regards, and I just have to give it a name, so I called it media wars. Yeah, so this will all help us to find a new identity. This will help corporations, it will force corporations to find new identities. But that's not all. This is not the end of this bigger cycle, this 7-year cycle that we are in here. This is still just the beginning of the unraveling of what these forces are and what we need to learn to harness them with us. Yeah, how can we heal from all of this? How can we then, move into a, say, lifestyle, an attitude to it, work and life and relationships that allows us to see new opportunities, that allows us to grow. This is something that has been happening for thousands of years with our civilization. So there's nothing that we need to be afraid of. As a matter of fact, if you just go 150 years ago with the Industrial Revolution, the fears that came up with all these machines and manufactories that were formed and that made people sort of feel that machines are going to replace them. Well, it also opened up a lot of new professions. It opened up people to become more educated. It opened up, different ways for us to express ourselves, and ultimately led to a lot of these innovations, not just in technology and machines, but also in regards to psychology, medicine, and sociology. Now we've also experienced the dark sides of this, and this is always something that comes with these cycles, is that something new comes in, and then we kind of have to go through the children's diseases of that first, because we don't quite know yet how to handle this right. Yeah, and right now we are in this sort of end phase of naivete when it comes to technology, because we are recognizing how things such as, artificial intelligence and all the aspects of transhumanism can actually create a lot of problems. So we have to step into a high level of responsibility with it. We have to make more conscious choices. And the same for the corporations. It's not just about this endless growth, endless renewal. It is now more about the integrity and what these things actually mean for us as humans. And that's a big deal, guys. Yeah, that is a really, really big transformative time. And I want to point back to you as individuals, that you're here in this time and that you are interested in these things is remarkable. Yeah, it tells you something about your own karmic journey. Because if you see yourself as a soul self, yeah, with the physical body that chooses to incarnate into this time, don't forget to ask yourself why you came here into this time. Maybe you are the one that you have been waiting for. Maybe you are the one that is part of helping people to adjust and navigate through these uncertain times. Many of you have this impulse, not just the impulse for a deeper spiritual understanding of things, but also the impulse to be of service to others in some ways, to help others. And this is real, guys. And you're going to be very surprised to see that in this year, 2023, and I'm going to go give you specific dates and stuff like that here in a minute, that all these things that you have been fighting for, that you have been trying to convey to people, they are starting to become mainstream. Things such as energy healing, things such as consciousness, the deeper secrets of what it means to be human, those are going to be subject of massive research in these next 3-4 years. And you will see that, the word science is also one of those words that got twisted here in those last 2-3 years. So I need to be careful. I mean true science, true research, not academia. You need to differentiate. It's always the differentiation of words when you say them, that it will not just have a lot of interest in this. So obviously, psychology is interested in this, sociology, education, politics, marketing, they're all interested in understanding how humans tick. And in the past, this was misused because we didn't really have the awareness of recognizing how commercials do this. Yeah, how we are being manipulated into buying things. This is changing now. We're becoming more aware of that. And this is the power that we are now discovering, not just as individuals. Many of you already kind of feel it, kind of know it, but can't really see it manifesting in the world. But this is happening now. Yeah? The reason why we are going through these years of transformation is that we need to live up to our higher potential, because we can. We can, as a collective, due to the power of our consciousness, go through this transformation with open eyes and become active co-creators of this. This has never been there before, guys. In the past, when the civilizations had their height and they started to break down, it just happened to the people in there. They didn't, for the most part, even know what was going on. It just happened to them. It's different now, guys. The fact that we can talk about these kind of things is already remarkable. So I want you to understand that we are still in the middle of these reality wars, but they're coming to an end now in 2023, and January is quite an important month here. In 24, we're going to deal more with these revolutionary energies that are going to force new leadership. They're going to force corporations, countries, organizations to regroup. It's this shift change that is now happening on a generational thing that you will see. This, it will be shocking, guys, and we'll see a lot of antitrust movements here. Predicted this many years ago, that these huge big company conglomerates that we all kind of believed in, because they were already 60, 70, 80 years old. Nobody really thought that they could fall apart, but they are going to fall apart. And some of them are not going to disappear. They're just going to regroup. And parts of them with higher levels of integrity will reform. That's all part of this finding a new identity and bringing it into form. Yeah, so in 24, next year, that will come with a bang. That will come with, like big shifts and changes everywhere on the political, organizational, corporational level. Then we're going to see in 25 that there's new alliances forming. And again, this will be very, very surprising, guys. So there's momentums here that are different in Europe, let's say, than here in the United States. The United States, this process is going to take a little longer than the United States. A very young country. It's going through its first shadow clearing. 248 years. First process of clearing out what is no longer true. And that comes again, just like how it came, roughly 250 years ago, with a revolutionary energy. In Europe, this is going to go faster because most of the European countries have already gone through this, some of the tribes in Europe several times. So you will see, again, a bifurcation, but more so in what people in Europe are experiencing and what people in the United States are experiencing. People in Australia and Asia, well, I have to say different parts of Asia, Australia and New Zealand, you are going to obviously gravitate toward the European experience. People in Asia will gravitate toward a whole new experience, because we're going to have something happening this year, unexpected maybe for us, the Western world, that has to do with Asia. I'm going to get into this here in a little bit. So these new alliances that form will change the power balance in the world. This is happening. And there's nothing to be afraid of. This has happened many, many times. So you could see this here in just the last 80 years, how the power has shifted, or last 100 years, from the British Empire. Then, for a very short time, there was the German tribes, the Russia, and the British Empire competing, and then something happened. The First and Second World War happened that shifted these power balances, and we're actually heading into a similar kind of experience, just not with this kind of First, Second, Third World War, a different kind of warfare. I'm going to talk about this here in a second. So these new balances that form, they will be very surprising to you. And in 2026, we're literally going to find a new world here, especially in regards to economy. So this new world and power will start to incorporate. This is going to be very exciting. Nothing that you need to be afraid of. It is something that leads us into a higher expression. And I want to say that in 2027, we are looking at a new order, and it will be the beginning of spiritual wars, which is a whole different level of, well, dark against the light forces. It's actually very, very exciting, something that many of us have, well, I'm going to say trained for. Yeah, so don't think of demons versus angels or something. It's not like that. But there is big stuff happening in 2027, and that's something to look forward to. It's the beginning of a new age, really, or better say, a beginning of a new era. Yeah, there is a shift change in a spiritual hierarchy happening, and that is going to be very, well, I want to say, confirming for us. So let's shift, and please, by the way, feel free to ask questions at any times. Let's shift into the specifics of 2023. 23 is a very important year because there's, a lot of these things that have been subdued over the last 2-3 years that are coming out in the open, and it will shock a lot of people. There's also a lot of things that come out that really rattle people's value systems. This already starts in January, guys. So here in this second or third week of January, we're looking at some major truth bombs. And those have to do with the pandemic. This will also mark the official end of the SARS-CoV-2 narrative. Yeah, but the effects of this will still be rippling through our collective till 2025. When something new comes that shows, sort of the true reasons behind that. So right now we're looking at surprising truths coming in, or they're not surprising for everybody, but for the mainstream. And this has huge ripples now into the whole entire year. So overall, I can say that the first half, till the end of May, it's going to be a little tricky into June, for Americans into the end of June. Not that easy. A lot of back and forth internally that you will feel. But the second half will get a little better. And I'll tell you why. So part of, this really sort of big shift that is happening in these power distribution here in the world is going to start in March, the end of March. There is a new understanding of warfare that we are getting, and new restrictions, not really mandates per se, but we are going to understand what kind of war we are actually already in. And there are things that will unfold that I don't want to anticipate for you right now, but I will give you a hint here that by April, we have China enter the world stage in a new way. This will have huge ripple effects on the economy, and these new alliances that need to form. This is here sort of the start point for that. Those are all time capsules, really, that I am pointing your attention to. Will last till 2026. So there is something new that comes in, and these new players, as in we become more aware of this, so there will be a shift in our understanding about China, Russia, United States, the British Empire. A lot of new perspectives, that will, sort of keep us busy here into 2024. And June is then when actually new leadership starts taking over. This will be very surprising, guys. This totalitarianism that you observe in some countries will get worse until there is this enough critical mass in the mainstream to actually stand up to it, and that we're going to experience this in this year. So not just protests and convoys and stuff like that we saw the last 2 years. that media basically didn't cover. Remember, those things all happened under all those restrictions and mandates with COVID. Can you imagine what happens when mainstream wakes up and realizes that it was lied to, that there are different alternative truths that they were meant to believe? Yeah, without any COVID restrictions, that's a big deal, guys. Really, really big deal. I want to walk you through these tasks in order to find our new identity, but also move into higher levels of integration with it and allowing it to take form. Take on form. You guys already know what it means to have this sort of mind-blowing aha with, you know, some of the things that you believed in your life, some of the things that you thought were the right thing. And probably one of the biggest lessons, I want to say, that many of us had to learn was that there's nothing wrong with our values. There's nothing wrong with our perception. There's only something about the people that we're trying to do this with. Yeah, and so I want you to take this to heart, that when you find yourself in a place where you're stuck and you don't quite know how to work yourself out, consider that it is, you know, the people or the environment that you're in that is simply not conducive for you to be in your truth and for you to act in your higher expression. And sometimes that is the hardest part, to admit that to ourselves, to admit that truth to ourselves, that, you know, we're not really, or the choices of our past have not really moved us into this place that makes it possible for us, or that gives us enough room or space to grow. And quite frankly, sometimes it is that way. Part of that truth can be that the people we're with simply don't want to grow. That too is part of understanding the bigger context. Yeah, because it is not possible to convince somebody else to wanting to grow if that is not part of their goal, their vision. Yeah, so sometimes truth can be tough, can hurt. Sometimes it comes with having to let other people go or leave them behind. And there is a karmic component to that, because we need to understand that they were in our life for a reason. So it wasn't all for nothing. It was about us realizing that, you know, all these things that that we need to let go, yeah, that we need to choose them. We need to choose to consciously let go and not just wait until the pain of where we're at becomes so great that we are forced. That's karma. Karma forces us to make changes. Consciousness allows us to create changes. There's a huge difference here from an energetic point of view. Those of you who may have gone through something like disease or something, you might know this, because there is karma in why we are experiencing certain things, such as diseases or accidents or sudden losses. But then there is this lesson hidden in there, yeah? Not how we should have done it or, you know, what we could have done. No, how we can do this better next time. That's really what this new identity is all about. It's about, I don't want to say reinventing ourselves, but really seeing what this higher expression of us could look like, and consciously choosing or making our choices that lead us to that higher expression of ourselves. So here the themes, yeah, the task themes month by month is January, due to these truth bombs, it will come in sort of very strongly for the collective. So it will sort of rattle the collective identity and set the starting point for some of these things that we will continue to experience here until 2027. in February, it's more on a national level. So when we look at the fields that we are standing in, they come in different layers. Obviously, there is the sort of the big old cosmos, the divine, and then there is, you know, the say the field of humanity, the field, the planetary field, the collective energy, which is kind of the combination of sort of mainstream, is a combination of all thoughts, emotions, and sentiments of people. And then there is the national, and then there's the tribal, and then there is the, I don't know, the level of your city or neighborhood, then there's the level of your family. And then it comes down to your individualized identity, your individuated identity. Yeah, so these are the different layers that we always have to go through. And it's important to understand that, because when you look at things like national identity, they have been very, very complex here for all of us. Yeah, how to see myself in conjunction with my country, especially in the last 2 years, with all the mandates, the administrative restrictions, and so forth. Can I truly identify with this? So it will rattle that with us, yeah? And so patriotism and these kind of things, they have to be redefined for ourselves, what it is that we love about our country or about our tribe or about our family. In March, we're going to have, it takes on a different nature. It's more about our physical identity. That has to do with us in this world, a lot of, you know, the physical elements of 3D life, such as work, such as money. Yeah. Now, April will have an effect on our spiritual identity, namely, how do we place ourselves in this world? Are we focus only on health and money and the material, or are we going to focus only on the spiritual, or do we need to find a middle ground here? So April will be interesting in that way. Yeah, because we're going to have to like consciously step into the balance of things. May comes with sort of a new level of integration. Yeah, it's like, okay, all right, so I can stay where I'm at and keep experiencing the same pain over and over again. I can keep struggling, or I can change. That is when things take on form. So some of you feel this already here in January. The first 2-3 weeks of January is not the time to where this is sort of fully mature yet. You're not really going to know what to do yet, but you can feel this courage, this impulse also for some of you with the fearlessness to actually change, to do something. And this will then really, in May, end of May, it will come into expression. It will become more clear to you. June is then where we have to go through the grieving, the collapse of the old, yeah, the externalized identity, all the things that, you know, the hopes and dreams, yeah, the, oh, you know, I'm this, I'm that, you know, or I've accomplished this or that, the titles and the marital status and the house and the boat and these kind of things, they all dissolve and no longer are that important to us, because we realize it's not who I am. It's part of what I have created in my life, but it's not who I am. So this collapse here in June will be very transformative. Again, it's not anything to be afraid of. It's just something to know. That's why I'm giving you this preview. If you understand the context, it's a lot easier to deal with it. You don't need to be afraid of things, okay? You can just allow it to come in, allow it to unfold, be a little more patient, maybe don't make decisions too hastily, yeah? And understand that there is a bigger goal behind the goal. July is very much about this personal transformation. You got to be careful this next summer here, because summer is always where people go into like a bit of a summer sleep. You really won't be able to afford this. We're going to continue to see more earthquakes and floods and probably also hurricanes here in Florida. But, you know, this is something that will keep us on our toes. Yeah, so climate change will be redefined, guys. What is just under the blanket of climate change propagated right now is not the truth either. So you're gonna experience a few surprises there. August is when we fully become aware of what it actually is that we want to bring into this world. And there is an element in August to at the end of August that has a really big impact on our collective development in these next years. And I want you to know that we're going to have something like a new virus come up. But this time around, we will apply all the things that we've learned with the previous pandemic, and it will go very quickly. But I do need you to take good care of your health. This will start in August, so the summer sleep, is not a good idea. Yeah, this is obviously the time where we want to experience sensuality and warmth and so forth. We don't really want to care about things, but really take this seriously. So August, September, October can be a little weird in that regard. So there might actually be some restrictions coming in, but we will handle this differently this time. In September, there we'll see that there's different responsibilities. There's new responsibilities that come with this new identity. Yeah, maybe you chose to start your own business, or maybe you started a new relationship, or maybe you ended an old relationship. And obviously, there is something that you become a lot more aware of now. October is where karma begins to resolve in a way that you do no longer have to revisit the repetition. You've proven to yourself, you've graduated from a repetitive subject. That's very, very big, guys. But just think of it collectively, think of it in conjunction with the pandemic and so forth. Yeah, so we are entering, a new cycle. That's when we're going to be realizing this. And November will then be much more healing for all of us. We'll see that we're all in this together and move more to collaboration and unity. Obviously, in the background is all this revolutionary stuff going on. So, yeah, as we go through these months, you'll see how this unfolds in detail. Latest by December, guys, we have a new roadmap for our future. There will be so many changes in this year that, will sort of layer for layer shed all these old beliefs and help us to really adjust to this new value system. So this is a picture here that I've picked for the heart warriors that are in the tune-up with me, every month where we go through these coming energies, where I do an energy clearing on them and reflect back to them how this is going to feel for them. So this is something that can stand really for the whole year of 23. Truth frees you. Love choose more than the pain of your past and the fear of the future. That is a roadmap, guys. That is a key for you. And we'll probably discuss this a little more. Yeah, so the code breaker in 2023, code breakers are those resonances that can help us to break through the collective experience. Is I am fearless. Yes. And the main themes here in January, they prepare us for this revolution of truth, mainstream acceptance. I've already talked about this, awakening to a higher soul reality, and also what this means. Yeah, it's not just some kind of woo-woo or new age concept. There's something very profound in this. Fearlessness, we covered this, embodiment, congruence. Yeah, like how am I really putting this out in the world? There's a lot of our conflicts come from not being congruent with ourselves, not being authentic with ourselves. Our perception is going to change through all of this, and you're going to see a lot of collective awakening. Yeah, that's these revolutionary energies. By allowing my energy to show me truth at all times, and by giving myself more space to grow, I can learn to silence the fear of change and embrace chaos as creative power. Remember this when you're going through this. So the main focus here of 2023 is adjusting to new reality. The main task is finding new ways of being. And yes, that's deep stuff, guys, here within the Sacred Self-Healing community. So if you're a member of the Sacred Self-Healing program, then you get those workshops and seminars for free. We're going to talk about the ways of being and what this entails. Yeah, body, mind, heart, spirit, and soul, and how they interact with another. Yes, a top-notch consciousness training. Here, how this affects our way of understanding things, our way of feeling things, our way of connecting with others. And this will really change the way we see ourselves and the world in a positive way. The main challenge, however, will be allowing ourselves more space. For some of you, this can also mean being patient, allowing things to unfold, and giving ourselves more room for error. So whenever there's a transition, whenever there's change coming, you have to understand that perfectionism and idealism aren't strategies that work. You have to sacrifice your perfectionism, and that's a good thing because that's actually linked to darkness in you, trying to control what is. So change is the opposite of control, and in order to become adaptable, in order to be able to go with the flow, if you will, you're gonna have to let go of this idea of perfect and purity and 100%. I always tell my clients 80-20. 80-20 is how nature works. And I find nature pretty magnificent and powerful. So I am totally fine with 80% higher expression, 20% junk. Right? It keeps our system, not just our immune system when it comes to foods and stuff like that, but also our energy system in a sort of state of cross-training. Too much purity is not good. It becomes unstable. Yeah, every chemist knows that. Finding the right allies is a big part of the challenge. Many of us don't know where to find people that we can share this with, that we can collaborate with. So yeah, this is forcing us to redefine our relationships. And it's also the reason why I have this new program called Love Integrity, to literally break it down and teach you guys what the fundamentals are of higher vibrational relationships, not just romantic relationships with our family, with our friends, with people that we work together, people that we are on a mission together. Yeah, there are some very fundamental things, and they're not hard. You just got to see it in the right context. Everything changes when you do that. You begin to see yourself and your function, like the meaning of what your relationships have for you in a completely new light. So I can only recommend the Love Integrity for those of you who are still struggling with finding the right people in your life. Because there are some, just fundamental, I don't want to say disciplines, but, eye-opening realizations that you need to have to change that. The main opportunity, therefore, is, something that I hear in this context with energy work and healing work called true spiritual connection. It is something that you will all feel more and more, especially when you go through changes and uncertainty. This yearning for spiritual connection, this yearning for being one with higher power. And this is real, guys. And this is a strategy that works, that has always worked for people. We just need to discern again, how we are seeing higher power, if we see it as something externalized or something that actually comes to an expression through ourselves. Better quality of relationships, that is a big, big chance for us. Because how many of you are stuck in relationships, not just partnerships, but also work relationships, family relationships that are really, really challenging and not really leading to anything. So the biggest opportunity, though, and this is especially here for you energetically sensitives and empaths, this is the good news. 2023, guys, will give you the long hoped for victory lap. You were right. And some people may actually say that to you. Your job now is to let go of all the resentment and all this victimhood that you have accumulated over the years, where people laughed at you or thought you were a crazy one. You're going to have to let go of the payoff of a fringe dwelling and this spiritual specialness. We came here for a reason, and that reason was to help other people through this, not to stand on a podest and be right. No, this is about helping people. And when the collective awakes, it's not going to be funny. Okay, remember this. It will make things a lot more clear to you here. So clarity of your mind is one of the big perks. So here's a lot of different ways how I graphically prepare this every month to show the different levels, how these collective influences, these collective resonances influence us. I don't want to bore you with this. I'm just going to put this on the screen here so it's in the video, and you can stop the video here and look at it. Energetic tendencies in January, and sort of things that you will feel on a physical level, emotional level, and a few tips here as well. You can look all this up. I just really want to stretch for you guys that, you know, caring for the people that you with that truly matter to you, and showing up for them in a way that has your own authenticity in the foreground, where you know who you are, where you no longer need approval, where you no longer need validation, where you no longer need others to agree. You just know who you are. That is going to be the biggest opportunity for us here in 2023. So with that, I would like to close, but not before I share the good news with you. So the Love Integrity that starts on January 7th is filling up, but I have the same problem that many of us spiritual teachers and coaches have. I need spiritually aware men. I need you to come, guys. Without you, we can't do this. All right, so I have a special rate that is almost ridiculous, so cheap for this course. If you are male and you would like to participate in this Love Integrity course, then please go to my website, to the Love Integrity link, and see the repeater fee. You're going to be able to join in for a very minimal fee, because it is so much harder to motivate men to actually, and I don't mean this in a degrading way, I mean this in an encouraging way, to actually see the purpose of talking about things, exchanging things, hearing other people that you don't know, yeah, women explain things and go into this deeper understanding of what connection, relationships, trust, and so forth, what this is truly about. Yeah, so I'm very excited about this. Please come to this 14 Saturdays, 2 hours. Yeah, one lesson training. There's an online course platform that comes with it as well. We can read up on the lessons at a time, and then there's 1 hour practice where we actually practice saying things, where we reenact things. Yeah, it's very, very cool. We have a lot of fun with this. So here's a quick overview. And if this goes a little too far, then maybe consider the energy course, which is a basic, well, basic, you can't say, very deep energy awareness training. It stretches out through 6 modules and shows you, you know, how to ground your energy, how to understand your energy, how to read your energy, how to read other people's energies to a certain degree, how to protect your energy, and how to tap into your own precognition. So I hope that this is helping you, that this is, you know, giving you a little reason, or a little more reason, to be optimistic, to look forward to the future, also to understand yourself better in all these transformations and what it actually is that you came here for. That's my job. So I want to thank you guys all for coming. I hope you share this video. I hope to see you in one of our free online meditations that are going on every day, or in the Sacred Self-Healing community, maybe, where you can exchange all these things with other people. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jona. That was very interesting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Annette. And Annette,
New Year.
lovely. And I wish you guys a wonderful, wonderful transition into this new year. It's going to be big, guys. Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Oh, happy New Year to all of you. See you very soon.
Yes.
Bye. Bye bye.